lawsuit that was just filed by Congressman Devin Nunes against Fusion GPS. That was the firm behind the infamous Steele dossier. Now, Nunes is alleging that Fusion GPS and the group Campaign for Accountability worked on a joint and systematic effort to intimidate, harass, threaten, influence, interfere with, and impede, ultimately derail Nunes' investigation into Russian election interference. Here now is the congressman himself, ranking member of the House Intel Committee. Congressman, now, some people who haven't followed every iteration of this story, how did Fusion GPS try to impede your investigation?
Well, all people have to do is go back to 2018, and if you remember, there were daily stories that would be generated about how I had leaked something, I was under investigation, I was obstructing an investigation. Well, those were all originating from these ethics complaints that continued to be filed by Campaign for Accountability. So what we ended up finding out is that of the $1.2 million that they raised in 2018, $140,000, over 10% of the budget, went to Fusion GPS. 2 of the 3 ethics complaints directly related to Fusion GPS. Only Fusion GPS could have given this to Campaign for Accountability. Now let's get this straight. Campaign for Accountability, they've been around for about 3 or 4 years. They are a left-wing organization. They attack conservative Republicans on a daily basis. So if people want to clean up politics, only the courts are going to be able to do this. And so that's why we're taking this to the third branch of government, the court system. And we're hopeful that the court will come in and see this as a RICO a racketeering group.
Look, Congressman, the left does this all the time. They run to the courts to try to thwart the president's agenda. They've done it on immigration. They did it on the travel ban. There's nothing that this administration has tried to do of any significance that the left hasn't tried to stop in a courtroom. So I think it's great that you're out there and you're trying to instill some sense of accountability and transparency into this whole process. I think more conservatives, frankly, should do what you're doing. And I got to replay I got to replay this moment from the Mueller hearing this summer where he could not recall a very important piece of the puzzle. Watch.
Quote, the firm that produced the Steele reporting, unquote. The name of that firm was Fusion GPS. Is that correct?
And you're on page 103?
103, that's correct, volume 2. The name of the firm that produced that was Fusion GPS. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not familiar with that.
It's not a trick question. I mean, it was Fusion GPS.
That's like a Joe Biden answer on that one. How concerning was that?
Well, there were a lot of answers like that. I mean, clearly Mueller didn't know what was in his own report, and that's why we have to bring these, one of the reasons why we need to continue to bring these lawsuits, Laura, is to clean up this mess. Remember, Fusion GPS has a long history of doing this. They did it to the Trump campaign. They did it to Bill Browder. People forget that these guys work for the Russians. They work for dirty Russians. They work for dirty Venezuelans. This is a group, this has to stop, and the only way it can stop is if Republicans who are in a position to be able to bring these cases against these groups, we have to be able to do it.
Well, Congressman Nunes, thank you so much for being with us tonight.